Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
It's you and the senorita. Woofer blowing up the tweeter, cause it's me up in the speaker. Back in the mama seat, top down like a player. And the sound up in your ears, it is the dopest rhyme say. I run a game like a cheater, I'm bomb like they're a cheater.
Did you watch the Democratic National Convention last night?
Yeah.
Did you see when Did you see when Meryl Streep spoke? Did you see when Bill Clinton spoke? Did you see when Howard Dean spoke? You got to admire that guy for being okay with his place in history. You really, really do. In case you somehow managed to miss it, back in 2004, there was a young presidential hopeful by the name of Howard Dean. And Howard Dean, well, a lot of people regard this as the place where he absolutely lost the election. Here's his original speech from 2004.
We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
Like I said, a lot of people think that actually brought down the entirety of his presidential campaign. And like I said, he's cool with his place in history because, well, Howard Dean spoke at the Democratic Convention last night, and he was perfectly okay doing this.
This race is going to be won on the ground. And it's going to be won in Colorado and in Iowa and North Carolina and Michigan and Florida and Pennsylvania. And then we're going to the White House.
And if you feel like you're missing something, never fear. So yeah, not only was he perfectly willing to lampoon himself for our entertainment value at the Democratic National Convention last night, Meryl Streep spoke after Bill Clinton at the DNC, and she gave herself a Howard Dean moment. Better because of the grunt at the end. Listen. It's good entertaining times at the moment. It really, really is. Bill Clinton called Hillary a change maker.
She did all this while being a full-time worker, a mother, and enjoying our life. Why? Well, she's insatiably curious. She's a natural leader. She's a good organizer. And she's the best darn change maker I ever met in my entire life.
Bill Clinton delivered for his wife. He really, really did. And at the end of the speech, he compared the caricature of her that's out there to the real one.
The real one had done more positive change-making before she was 30 than many public officials do in a lifetime in office. The real one has earned the loyalty, the respect, and the fervent support of people who have worked with her in every stage of her life, including leaders around the world who know her to be able, straightforward, and completely trustworthy. The real one calls you when you're sick, when your kid's in trouble, or when there's a death in the family. The real one repeatedly drew praise from prominent Republicans when she was a senator and Secretary of State. Good for you, because earlier today, you nominated the real one.
He also talked about the first time he saw Hillary, but some of the stuff he said definitely sounded more than a little pervy when you consider how he's behaved since he met Hillary.
The first time I saw her, we were, appropriately enough, in a class on political and civil rights. She had thick blonde hair, big glasses, wore no makeup. And she exuded this sense of strength and self-possession that I found magnetic. After the class, I followed her out. intending to introduce myself. I got close enough to touch her back, but I couldn't do it. Somehow I knew this would not be just another tap on the shoulder. That I might be starting something I couldn't stop. Well, I didn't join the law review, but I did leave that library with a whole new goal in mind. A couple days later, I saw her again. I remember she was wearing a long, white, flowery skirt. And I thought, well, heck, since my cover's been blown, I just went ahead and asked her to take a walk down to the art museum. We've been walking and talking and laughing together ever since.
Apparently afterwards, he celebrated with a cigar, just not with Hillary.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that rat race at that pace in that place. Will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone, working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say, for you, there's gotta be a better way, yeah. And you do what they told ya. Company man, feel like a mindless little soldier. How can you live like that and maintain your composure before it's begun? Your life's already freaking over, yeah.
So did you see that Bernie Sanders' brother, whose name is actually Larry Sanders, his actual brother was at the Democratic convention last night to cast the Democrats abroad, the Democrats abroad delegations votes for Bernie. His name's Larry Sanders, and he talks just like Bernie. He mentioned their parents, and Bernie got pretty emotional.
I want to bring before this convention the names of our parents, Eli Sanders and Dorothy Glassberg Sanders. They did not have easy lives, and they died young. Mm-hmm. They would be immensely proud of their son and his accomplishments. They loved the New Deal of Franklin Roosevelt, and would be especially proud that Bernard is renewing that vision. It is with enormous pride that I cast my vote for Bernie Sanders.
I don't know if you caught it or not. This, to me, was, one more piece of audio before we get to the one that I think was the crowning glory. Lena Dunham and America Ferrera were both at the convention.
I'm Lena Dunham, and according to Donald Trump, my body is probably like a 2.
And I'm America Ferrera, and according to Donald Trump, I'm probably a rapist.
But America, you're not Mexican.
And President Obama isn't Kenyan, Lena, but that doesn't stop Donald.
No. We know what you're all thinking. Why should you care what some television celebrity has to say about politics?
And we feel the same way. But he is the Republican nominee, so we need to talk about him.
It's all crazy, really. I mean, look, yeah, you go and give a couple of celebrities a couple of snappy lines to spout off at a bunch of people in a room that agree with them. For once, it doesn't seem like a completely mindless and pointless act of preaching to the choir, of evangelizing to the already evangelized. Because, look, at the division going on both sides of the political fence. The right has the never Trumps, and then the Bernie or bust folks are all about not voting for Hillary Clinton. Where they're going to go, we're not entirely sure. I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're not going over to the Trump side, but they will probably wind up voting libertarian or something of that nature. So when you get sort of like a bunch of celebrities in a room to say snappy things about the competition, usually it's just a giant waste of time and money because, look, these people are already on your side. This is campaign finance money. This is the money of the people that are trying to get you elected being flushed down the toilet. I don't understand the point of it. Why are you doing this? Yeah, you want to appear funny and clever in front of a bunch of your peers. But in this particular case, I guess if you're a Hillary Clinton, you need some solidification. You need Bernie to come out and swing hard for you. You need him to try and shepherd some of his supporters over to your side. And I guess you need sort of like the belly laughs from the Lena Dunhams and America Ferreras of this world, although belly laughs is being a little bit kind based on their material, to help sort of galvanize some sort of support for you within the DNC. And the same could be said on the right for Donald Trump. And that's why you get the Scott Bayos of this world to step up to the podium and discuss how awesome you are. So, I mean, I think in this particular instance, while usually this is a giant waste of money where preaching to the choir is just like a huge, like I said, vacuous flush down the toilet of money and time, in this case, it kind of sort of makes sense. My favorite part of the DNC, listen to this woman's voice. It sounds like a caricature of someone that's been around for a while, but 102-year-old Jerry Emmett was at the convention as an honorary delegate from Arizona, and she got to cast her state's vote for Clinton. She was born before the 19th Amendment was passed, which means she's actually older than her own right to vote. Check this out.
Madam Secretary, Arizona cast 34 votes for Senator Sanders.
And 51 votes for the next president of the United States of America, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Amazing, right? It's just like, oh my God, the power in that 102-year-old voice. I don't care which side of the political fence you fall down on. To see a person that is 102, that is older than their own right to vote, come out and have a voice like that kind of conviction, it's badass. That, for me, was the absolute star moment of the convention. So where does this leave you? What sort of feeling are you left with after, look, there's still something left to the Democratic National Convention, but what are you left with? What do you think? What do you feel? Do you feel any differently? Because, look, this is anyone's race at this stage in the game. A lot of people I know weren't clear then when everything started out and aren't clear now. I know a lot of people who are going, oh, Trump is not for me. I am a dyed-in-the-wool conservative, but I don't know if I could do Trump, but I'll cut off my own left toe before I vote Democrat. And do I want to throw away a vote on a third party, or is using a vote on a third party incredibly important this time out because we're not represented in the Democratic side or the Republican side? And for that reason, we need to make it perfectly clear that something else is needed, and it will not produce the result that we want this election, but it might in the next one. And therefore, our voices must be heard in a vote for a candidate that represents us, if not now, in the future. How do you feel about it? I'm curious. You know who you're going to vote for? Tweet me at ADSXC. Maybe we'll put up one of those Twitter polls, Funkhauser. You know you can make $64,000 a year drinking beer? It's true, and we'll discuss how next.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. Well, it's a new one. Here I come again, coming again, taking it back to the place where I'm picking up the pen.
Play the music a little longer, Funkhauser.
I gotta say that it's a thriller. Hey, I do it my way, bitch. Taking advantage of the gift, we gotta make it and pay the place. So what do you say, bitch?
Follow me at ADSXC. Also follow super producer to the stars Barry Funkhauser at Funk FM, and our intern Brandy Aniston at Brandy Aniston.
What happened?
We're gonna vote today.
What the heck happened? Did a bug land on you again?
Yeah! Hold on one second. I'm preparing.
Are you making a poll? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just wait here patiently then.
Play the what is that?
Anytime he tells
music?
me to play music, I think something's wrong. And I'm like, let's get our crack team of investigators on that. Go ahead and here, I'll play this.
There we go. The poll is up. Curious to get your vote.
I'm going to have to read.
If you were going to vote today, who would it be? Trump, Clinton, or Johnson? Brandy Aniston, you have like all the Twitter followers in the world. Can you retweet that so
I'm
we actually
doing it
get a
right now. I actually posted did you see my political tweet I posted this morning? I was very daring about it.
Oh, hold on. Let's
Very
see.
daring. It was very daring, and I said if anybody has anything rude to say, I will not acknowledge it.
Ooh.
Political views aside, it is a historic and beautiful thing to see the first woman presidential candidate. You know what? You're right. Political views aside, it does mean that, that is, anytime someone gets equality, whether it be equality is a bit of a stretch. Anytime we get closer to equality, it's an awesome thing for a couple of reasons. One, we should all be equal. We should all have the same inalienable rights as laid out by a certain very important document to our country. These truths are self-evident, so we know it because they evidence themselves. But here's the thing about that. Not only is equality a wonderful thing that we should strive for in every way, shape, and form, but also once we get it, we can stop worrying about it. Think of the number of man hours that had to be put into all sorts of things, man or woman hours, or man or woman or non-gender specific hours that had to be put into campaigning for people's rights to get married, to experience love in the same way that everybody else does, to have a miserable divorce the same way everybody else does. Like, the amount of time and effort and energy that is wasted on that, it's great because it stops having to be such an important part of the conversation. We could all just get on with our lives and live and be productive members of our society. So damn Skippy! It's a beautiful thing to see the first woman presidential candidate. I do not like Hillary Clinton, but to me, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's such a big deal over here. And as a kid that grew up in England when Margaret Thatcher was prime minister, I'm like, duh. This is, a lot of people consider England to be a country that is significantly more backward and fuddy-duddy than America in a lot of ways. Yet they had a woman with her finger on the button ready to fry us all a long time ago in the 80s. Germany has Angela Merkel. It's just the idea of a female in power, so alien to Americans, has been part of what the rest of the world does for a very, very long time. So it's nice that, and it's crazy because in some ways America really is so far ahead of the game. Socially, politically, and technologically, we are so far up in the game compared to so many other countries. And then you get something like this, and it's just like, well, duh. And the rest of the world looks at us like we're semi-evolved simians picking fleas off of each other and eating them. So there you go. It's an interesting one for sure. I noticed a sharp intake of breath. Are you surprised by something?
Yeah. Sorry.
She's reading the news. The Pokemon thing.
Oh.
Somebody catch them all.
Oh, yeah, all right. So we'll talk about how you can make a very good living drinking beer professionally.
What?
It's true. Yeah. You can make a very good living drinking beer professionally for the Smithsonian Institute, and we'll discuss how you can wander down that career path a little later on in the show. But right now, as there are gasps of surprise emitting from our news reader, it would seem apropos that we discuss what is going on in the world. Brandy Anderson, the news, if you please.
Sure. A Brooklyn man appears to be the first person to catch all 142 Pokemon Go characters.
She's just going to start there.
I just had to start there. Sorry.
In other words, too late, Donald Trump. America is already great again.
I wanted to be the first.
Well, you're not. You have things like a kid, responsibilities,
right,
bills,
a life,
things of that,
jobs, things like that.
Yeah.
All the above.
Curse the fruit of your loins for taking away all your valuable. Do you share Pokemon Go with your kid? Do
yeah,
you go out and catch
thing.
Pokemon for the family?
Yeah, we went over the weekend. We had a whole.
But do you? Let me ask you this: do you share a Pokemon Go account, or do you each have your?
We have our own. He can't have mine.
Well, I was going to say, your kid has more time than you, so your kid could wander around with your phone catching Pokemon for you.
Yeah, but then what are we going to do when we're together and we both want to do it? It's like, then we got to look at the same... No, it's not going to work. No. No.
All right, back to the beginning of the news.
Fine. The Backstreet Boys are recording a country album.
So you were a 98 Degrees fan, as we know.
I'm a pretty big Backstreet Boys fan, too.
Really?
So if this means that they're coming in for an interview, I need to be prepared.
And what do you make of the fact that they're doing a country album?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I don't know that I'll listen to it, but I mean, maybe a song. I'll hear it.
when I heard the Backstreet Boys were doing a country album, first I wasn't sure, and then I thought, well, come on. Who better to capture the down-home realities of everyday blue-collar hardships than 5 chauffeur-driven prancing man-children with frosted tips? That makes sense. That hangs together. Go on.
A new app contacts someone to come clean up after your dog. I need this.
I need this too. Like, I clean up diligently after Millhouse day in and day out. But you know what? It's so disgusting.
It's so gross.
Well, no. I don't mind. Look, a dog to me is the closest thing there is to proof of God. Here is this thing that is put on earth that only wants to be your friend, love you, be your constant companion at all times. Dogs are the best.
Yeah.
Like, literally, what purpose does a dog serve other than to make your life more awesome than it is already? I cannot say enough about dogs. I always get emotional when I talk about dogs. But here's the thing. I live in this community where very thoughtfully they have, like, I think it's called Doggy Pot or something like that, where there's a little dispenser for bags to pick up after your dog with and a separate trash receptacle that you put it in when you're done. I don't know what happened. Maybe the person that empties that thing out is on strike or something, but there's 5 of them around the community, and all of them are overflowing, and it is freaking disgusting. Like, I don't know who to call about it. Like, the person I live next door to is on the board of the HOA, and they don't seem to know or care or have done anything about it. So, like, it's actually revolting, because it's bad enough picking up after your own dog, but there's some sort of thing there where it's your own dog, and therefore it becomes a little less revolting. But when you're faced with a bucket full of everybody else's dog stuff, that's not. So this new app that contacts someone to come clean up after your dog, all for it. Apparently it's called Poopy Man Go. Go on.
Go. Very funny. Very funny. Hillary Clinton made history yesterday for becoming the first woman nominee for president.
Yes. Bill celebrated, just not with a cigar. Go on.
The Kremlin said the idea that Russia hacked the DNC emails is absurd.
Right. And in other words, the Kremlin definitely hacked the DNC emails. Go on.
Donald Trump says if he's president, he will put a hotline for veterans in the White House.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, look. One thing that Donald Trump has managed to rabble-rouse with successfully, and rightly so, is the fact that our veterans are treated miserably in this country. The bill of goods that someone that joins our military is sold when they sign up does not reflect the fact that 1 out of every 3 homeless men is a veteran. Yeah, it's something that'll make you think entirely differly when you see people begging on a street corner. Mm-hmm. Like, and you guys live in Los Angeles, and the homeless, the number of homeless people in Los Angeles is well documented and often talked about over the last couple of years. Like, there's lots and lots of folks that don't have homes that for one reason or another are living in the streets in Los Angeles. Now, if you look at, you got to assume that you'll probably see 3 of them in a day, right?
Yeah, of course.
One of them will be a veteran, which is absolutely miserable. So Donald Trump came out early and strong on the idea of veterans issues. Look, the veterans hospitals have these egregious errors, and maybe they're who knows if they're willful or if they're the result of incompetence. But whatever the case may be, it's got to stop. It has to be fixed. And Trump came out really strong for that. Here's the thing about a lot of the things that Donald Trump says. It comes from a great place. The principle on which he is speaking is justifiable in the extreme. Do we need border control? Yes, we do. Do we need to take better care of our veterans? Yes, we definitely do. Will it make sense that he puts a hotline for veterans in the White House? He's probably going to have the calls answered by his 10-year-old son, Barron, so I'm guessing not. But look, the reality of the situation is he's made a lot of promises when it comes to what's going to happen if he's elected. And presidential candidates always make promises. And when people try to hold them to them, there's a certain amount of dancing and jigging that goes on as they explain why not all the promises are going to be kept. But if there's one that I hope is kept, if and when Donald Trump makes his way to the White House, it's that one, that he's going to find a way to take better care of our veterans. Go on, what else?
A man who received a double hand transplant in 2009 is upset because the hands remain completely non-functional.
Yeah, he's all mad. He wants to get rid of them. He's had these useless hands for the last 7 years, and he's over it.
Well, I get it.
Wow.
I mean, if you don't have hands to begin with, and you got useless ones, I mean, what's the point of that? You went through all this painful surgery, and they're still not working. I'd be frustrated, too.
Yeah, he should write a nasty Yelp review. Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
Moving on.
Go on.
The world's deepest underwater sinkhole has been located in the South China Sea.
Uh-huh. So deep it could hold almost all of Hillary Clinton's deleted emails. Go on.
A Washington State man led police on a high-speed chase because he was bored. That's what I'm going to do. Wow.
Washington State, that's one of those places where marijuana is recreationally legal now, isn't it?
Yep.
I would imagine the judge would give him jail time, probation, and a Pokemon Go account. Like, if you're bored, you just have time to fritter away. Try this out. See if you can't catch me a Snorlax. Do you have a Snorlax?
Yes, I do. No. I do. I have a Snorlax.
Still waiting for a Snorlax.
I love
I've got
Snorlax.
a Zubat
I have
and
one.
You got a Zubat?
And a Snorlax.
What do you mean? I have like 50 Zubats.
Like 500.
Yeah, Zubats I see everywhere.
Everywhere.
And I barely even play.
I love my Snorlax. He's my favorite.
Till you level up, and then you get a...
Go on.
Starbucks will now let baristas wear fedoras.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Would you rather them wear a fedora or a hairnet? Like, see, I hate it when people in kitchens wear hairnets. They should wear hairnets. Don't misunderstand me. But like, if they wear a hat and it keeps their stuff out of the way and out of the food, that's awesome. But if I see a kitchen staff member wearing a hairnet, all I can think about is hair in my food. Like, so I'm in favor of the fedora. And it's good because, the main problem with Starbucks baristas up until now has been their glaring lack of insufferable hipsterness. So there's that. I wonder if they're allowed to wear baseball caps too.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
They should be allowed to.
Right?
They don't wear
they won't.
baseball. They wear ascots.
They wear ascots. Fedora in a pocket square. Ensures a foamy latte. Go on.
Los Angeles is only the 85th smartest city in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't doubt that.
Funkhauser, when you meet people in L.A., do you find them to be about the 85th smartest person you know?
No comment.
Bringing the score down, all the people in L.A. who actually think they're making it in show business, which includes all of us. Thank you for hanging out.
I guess that I should stop by saying.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me.
So the poll we put up is getting a lot of action. Follow me on Twitter at ADSXC and get your vote on. That's where you can let me know the answer to the question. If you were going to vote today, who would it be? Trump, Clinton, or Johnson? Now, based on the people that follow us on Twitter, we might not be the most accurate sampling of the American population. But I have to say, there's been 40 votes so far. And there's 23 hours left. But at this stage in the game, Trump is out in front. Now, what's interesting is he's out in front only by a very slim margin. Trump has 36% of the vote. Clinton has 33%. And if you're any good at math, you know that Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson is right there at 31% of the vote. 45 votes in now, and Johnson takes the lead with 36%. So there you go. Maybe Johnson is a little bit more legit than a lot of people are saying. Maybe Johnson is not. And again, bear in mind, this is a poll on my Twitter feed, so it is not going to be the most accurate sampling of anything. But, Gary Johnson's in the lead at this stage in the game. And maybe that means he's a little bit more viable than a lot of people who are saying it's just a wasted Hillary vote or it's just a wasted Trump vote. It's an interesting one, for sure, because he pulls from both sides of the political fence. Why? Well, libertarianism is, if you want to take a quick snapshot of the idea, fiscally conservative, socially liberal. Less taxes. We're going to look after our own business, smaller government, and, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, go live however you want to. And it's something that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, and it has not been represented up until very recently. And does this mean that it's an idea and an ideology that is moving forward? It's tough because the idea of what a libertarian is a bit of a moving target. And the people that are screaming and shouting that they are libertarians and making definitions of what being a libertarian is, well, it's such a new idea that nobody really knows. There's left-leaning libertarians, there's right-leaning libertarians, and it's an idea that is gathering some steam. I'll be very interested to see how this Twitter poll plays out, and really, really hope. I think Gary Johnson has to be at 15%. Don't quote me on this, but we talk about it pretty much every single day, so I should probably check. But 15% is where Gary Johnson has to be polling to be allowed to be a part of the presidential debates. And I really hope he hits that because it will be important for the dialogue of America. I know people on both sides that are firm conservatives or firm liberals are scared out of their mind of it. They're like, no, don't waste this vote. We're not kidding around, people. This is 3 Supreme Court justices. We cannot take a chance on this. We must have our values represented, and if you go out and you vote for Gary Johnson, we could be going backwards or we could be going forwards. Depends on how you look at it and which side you fall down on. But it's an interesting one to see him making such interesting headway right around this time of year. Where is he at now? I'm going to be glued to this meaningless poll that I put on my Twitter feed for a long time. Trump is back in the lead, but Johnson's beaten Clinton. All right, then. We'll discuss how you can make a really decent living by drinking beer for the Smithsonian Institute a little later on in the show. Right now, though, let's roll through what remains of the news. Brandy Anderson, what else is going on in the world?
A Mormon leader is building a utopian settlement in Vermont.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. Finally.
I mean, I went to New Hampshire this one time, and they were like, oh, well, if you want to go up and visit Vermont, there's a lot to do up there. And I'm like, wait, what? There's nothing to do there. But now there is.
Well, there's lots and lots of drugs. Vermont is the most drug-infested state in all of America. It's got the biggest drug problem. Yeah, people pounding Oxycontin, heroin, all sorts of stuff. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, it is smack dab in the middle of the route that drug dealers travel when they are unloading massive shipments. And also, it's a town with not a lot to do in it. So, people go, I'm bored, I'm going to try this. And all of a sudden, they're hooked on Oxy and they're stealing their neighbor's cows in order to pay for more of it. And it's a bad problem. And honestly, one of the things that I'm kind of surprised by is that, Bernie Sanders being part of that New England contingent, I wonder why that wasn't something that came up a little bit more often when he was making his bid for president, because it's a bad situation. I'll never forget playing in Vermont and thinking my grandpa lives in New Hampshire and this is New England. This is maple syrup country. There's nothing to do here. It was the craziest pit I have ever seen at a show ever.
Wow.
I wound up in my underwear at that show. Well, I did that thing where I stage dive, doofy 19-year-old kid in a rock band, I'm going to stage dive. And usually what happens was the crowd was super respectful and they pass you around for a little bit and pop you back up on stage and you've had this enormous rock star moment and it's good times. I jumped into the crowd in Vermont.
And you didn't come back.
They ripped off every item of my clothing except for my sneakers and my tighty-whities. I'm not even kidding. Well, boxer briefs.
You're lucky you came out of there.
You got to keep stuff secure, so at least I had the dignity of wearing boxer briefs when I got back on stage. But it was also during a time in the late 90s or early 2000s, I can't remember which, where it was perfectly acceptable to buy your jewelry at hardware stores. You remember those chain link necklaces?
No.
So I'm I'm in the crowd. They've ripped off all my clothes, and they are grabbing onto my necklaces. And I'm straight up like Eddie Murphy at the end of Trading Places, where I'm like, it was the Dukes. It was the Dukes. I couldn't like breathe. I couldn't talk. And I was like, this is it. This is like, this is how I'm going to go out. I'm going to die being strangled.
That's how AD died.
Yeah, I'm going to die being strangled by a Smash Mouth fan. That was who we were on tour with. I'm going to die being strangled by a Smash Mouth fan in a mosh pit in Vermont. And then,
way to go.
Fortunately, I got back on stage, took a big bow, and it was a big old rock star moment. And I was like to our roadie, I was like, "Can I finish the rest of the show in your jacket, please? Like, this is weird."
Yeah, I couldn't. I went over to Boston for my like day of being a tourist, but I just couldn't find anything in Vermont to do.
There's maple syrup and
cheese,
Class
right?
A narcotics. Cheese is in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, delicious cheese. How can you make big dollars off of drinking beer? We'll discuss when we get back. At ADSXE is where you can take the poll on Twitter. At FunkFM is where you can tweet Funkhauser. At Brandy Aniston is where you can hit up Brandy Aniston.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Trump is in the lead with our poll at 37% of the votes. In at number 2, Gary Johnson with 34, and trailing at 29 would be Hillary Rodham Clinton. You know what? Let's just hear Jerry Emmett, the 102-year-old woman, the honorary delegate who cast Arizona's votes for Hillary Clinton. Because what an incredible voice.
Madam Secretary, Arizona cast 34 votes for Senator Sanders.
And 51 votes for the next president of the United States of America, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Man, I don't have that kind of energy now. Like when I get to 102, I'm not getting to 102. But if and when I do, it's inspiring. And look, understand this is not any kind of endorsement or taking a side politically. This is just going like, man. Can we all respect the amount of life in that woman at 102 years old? You know what's interesting about this poll? I think it's going to be fairly skewed only because a lot of the people that follow me on Twitter are based in Texas. And I know a lot of the folks in Texas. Look, Trump and Johnson are neck and neck at the moment. And I know so many people in Texas that are, as you would expect Texans to be, dyed-in-the-wool conservatives. And they're kind of split into two equal camps, at least based on this poll at the moment, of people go, oh, you know what? I'm going to vote for Trump. Trump is my guy. He is the Republican candidate. I vote Republican. That is what I do. And then there's a whole bunch of them going like, I'm a never Trump sort of dude. I think this is bad news. It should have been Ted Cruz, but it's not. So therefore, I'm going with Gary Johnson. And, you know, you look at places like Texas and you go, this could really affect the outcome of the election. Because, you know, Ted Cruz did some of his best work in Texas. And if you're someone that doesn't live in Texas and you see Ted Cruz from the outside looking in, politics makes very strange bedfellows. But if you've lived in a place where you've had him advocate for the people of Texas, a lot of the stuff that freaks a lot of people out, Bible thumping and things of that nature. The bottom line is he got in there and he didn't care about playing patty cake with Washington. He got in there and he did real tangible things for the people of Texas. So a lot of people were really hanging their hopes on Ted Cruz. And when that failed to happen, and with the animosity between him and Trump, you see see why Johnson's picking up some steam in places like that. It's anybody's race, and we're excited to see how it all plays out. And hopefully you are doing what we encourage you to do every single day on this show and recognizing that it's your own life and you got to take care of it no matter what the end result is. All right, couple more pieces of news, and then we'll talk about how you can make good money drinking delicious beer for the Smithsonian Institute. This is a real job. You can have it.
I need that job. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner are still together a year after he cheated.
What?
But Barry got real excited over that one.
The nerve.
If he convinced her that he'll never do it again, he's a better actor than we gave him credit for.
Oh.
It wasn't me. It was Bruce Wayne.
Batman did it.
Yeah.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz is stepping down as the head of the Democratic National Committee following an email scandal.
Yeah.
Darn it, Debbie.
Hashtag darn it, Debbie.
Nevertheless, she's still a part of the convention. Debbie does a convention, so there you go. She went.
We're like little kids.
She went straight out of. She left that gig and immediately got hired by Hillary for president, like without even missing a beat.
No joke.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting about Debbie Wasserman Schultz? If you look at pictures of her, bearing in mind she does what she does for a living, wears a lot of very heavy eye makeup. Like, I just nothing against wearing heavy eye makeup, but is it really a look for someone in that sort of place of political power?
She's expressing.
Wait, hold on. Am I saying something that's going to get sort of like? Is this being insensitive toward females? Like, is this Ooh,
I mean,
that means I'm verging.
It could be. I mean, I don't think so, but I know that girls who, sometimes they like to wear more provocative clothing or makeup that maybe not appropriate for someone in a political party would wear, but they say, well, it's how I express myself and want to be. So, I mean, I can see where a girl would step in and say, oh, you're being insensitive to my wants or needs or feelings or expression of myself. But yeah, I agree with you.
I express who I am with board shorts and flip-flops, but if I was going to be in politics, I would still have to put on a suit and tie. I would hate every single moment of it. So, no, you know what? I stand by what I said. It's just, it's a different kind of look that... the day you can... the day Howard Dean can appear in board shorts and flip-flops and... Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, man. It was going to be a moment.
I could almost do it.
You're going to have it down.
We're going to take Washington, and we're going to take South Seas, and we're going to take Nevada, and Oregon, and California.
It's really funny. Hey, Howard Dean, how do you feel about the fact that you can campaign in board shorts and flip-flops? See, there you go. So then Wasserman Schultz can wear all the eye makeup she wants to.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Go on.
Hillary Clinton chose Tim Kaine as her running mate.
Yeah. Yep. You can tell the two have chemistry. They're nothing like her and Bill.
Kane.
Kane. Yeah. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing during the vice presidential debate based on who is now representing either side of the equation. I will be napping or perhaps clipping my toenails or sorting my sock drawer. They're both boring. Go on.
Ooh, 32 million people watched Donald Trump's GOP acceptance speech Thursday night.
Yeah. Or as the folks over at Prozac put it, ka-ching.
Right.
Go on.
U.S. ranchers living near the Mexican border say Trump's proposed wall wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do they know? What do they know?
What do they know? Build the wall.
What do they know? They're only there, living near the Mexican border, having to deal with it on a daily basis. To have an informed opinion on Border Patrol, you really need to be a reality star from Manhattan. Go on.
The royal family held a party to celebrate Prince George's 3rd birthday.
They did all the things that the royal family does during these happy occasions. They played their favorite party game, pinned the unnecessary financial burden of their existence on the taxpayer. And guess what? Prince George, even though he's only 3, already winning that game.
Good for him.
All right, one more piece of news, and we'll talk about drinking beer professionally.
Monica Lewinsky turned 43 on Saturday.
It's crazy to think because, like,
how old was she when all that went down?
Well, I mean, what year was it? 97 or so?
I mean, wow. So how?
She was
in her 20s?
Yeah, she was in her early 20s.
Ooh.
Yeah. Monica Lewinsky turned 43, which is crazy because of her place in history. She is fixed in all of our minds as this perpetual 20-something. And it's really...
She grew up.
A lot of people consider her to be the most famous person on the planet. Like, you could go anywhere in the world, and I think everybody knows who Monica Lewinsky is. She can't have a normal life. She can't get a normal job. She's had to kind of, I think, create her own businesses, selling, like, pashminas and fragrances or something. I don't know exactly what it is she does, but it's
Dresses.
not, because she has an employer. Right, yeah. Monica Lewinsky, 43 years old on
Dress
Saturday. And if you want to get her a gift, you still can't go wrong with a gift certificate to a quality dry cleaner. Okay.
Way too old. Way too late.
Hey, if it was good enough for Jay Leno's last show, it's good enough for this show. He's seen this about that.
Did you hear about this joke from 1994?
Hear about Monica Lewinsky? So you might think that drinking beer professionally would be the easiest job in the world. Comedian Kathleen Madigan disagrees with you.
I've decided whatever job anybody in this room has, unless you're a seismologist, our jobs aren't easy enough. Because the seismologist, easiest job in the entire world. Why? You don't have to predict anything. All you got to do is confirm it. Every time there's an earthquake, let's go live to UCLA Seismology Center. Hey, you guys, was there a big earthquake? Wow, yeah, whoa. We were like holding on, hiding under the desk. It was crazy. Is there going to be another one? Probably. I'd say a few more little ones. Yeah. I don't even know why that's a job. I mean, until you can predict it, what the hell is the point? Too much education for no reason. And I went to college. I'm not bragging. I went to a community college. I don't want to brag, but a lot of people don't know this. I went and I found this out. A lot of people don't know this. If you go to a community college long enough, after a while, they let you be the teacher.
And you could be an out-of-work weed dealer, having been put out of business by legalized marijuana, as postulated by John Mulaney.
They scared us about weed constantly. It would be on our sitcoms. We'd be watching Saved by the Bell. We'd be having a great old time. And then suddenly, a character we had not seen before would show up with some weed, and the episode would stop cold in its tracks. And they'd always hold the joint. The bad guy would hold the joint in like a villainous way. They'd always offer the joint in a way that no one ever holds a joint, like it's a skull in a Shakespeare play. And now it's legal, and that is great news. Unless you're a weed dealer, and then it is terrible news. And I don't just mean because they're about to lose out to Amazon.com. I more feel bad for weed dealers because they're about to find out that we only showed them a certain amount of politeness because they had an illegal product. And we don't show that same politeness to people who deliver legal products. Like when the Chinese food delivery guy comes, we don't let him hang out after he's delivered the Chinese food. And we definitely don't give him some of the Chinese food. He's never like, hey, can I get in on those dumplings? And we're like, yeah, we're all friends.
So if you do find yourself an out-of-work weed dealer looking for a new line of job, the Smithsonian Institute will pay somebody $64,000 a year to travel around drinking, wait for it, craft beer. True story. How? I hear Brandy and Funkhauser ask.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing that?
How?
Unbelievable.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, thanks for going with me on this journey. You never would have guessed that the Smithsonian could turn getting drunk into an amazing job, but it's a strange new world that we live in. The Smithsonian is doing research into American craft beer. So they're going to hire somebody to travel around for the next 3 years to drink beer, talk to brewers, and file reports. And they're paying $64,650 a year plus benefits. Now, here's the thing. The sound you hear in the background is various people that work in this building filling out their applications right now, but you might want to slow your roll and pump the brakes a little bit because anyone can apply, but they do say they want someone who has, quote, an advanced degree in history, food, brewing culture or business. But you only need one of those, so you might want to go for it.
Can I
how many of
pretend
us
to be
have
Jim Cook?
Hi,
I'm Jim Cook from Sam Adams, Boston Love. I'm here to get this job.
That would skew the results. Do any of us have advanced degrees?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Well, if you're an architect, Funkhauser, that's got to count for something.
Yeah, but I don't know hops.
Right.
But you could.
I could.
I got hops. Put me on that court and I'm trouble. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of our radio family. Oh, one more check-in with our presidential poll. 36% Trump, 36% Johnson, 28% Clinton. Go get your vote on at ADSXE. Follow Brandy and Funkhauser at Funk FM, at Brandy Anderson. Thank you. Have yourself a great one.